I'm Sue Desmond-Hellman. I'm Chancellor here at University of California, San Francisco, and thank you. That's very nice. So I'm very, very pleased on behalf of all my colleagues here at University of California, San Francisco to welcome all of you to Mission Bay. If you haven't been here before, look around you. Here we are, less than 10 years from the time this building first went up here at Mission Bay, and now we're a thriving environment for science, teaching, and patient care, who are all focused on one most important thing: advancing health worldwide. I'm particularly, that's good, that's worth applauding. I want to offer a heartfelt welcome to Leader Pelosi and San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee. Welcome to both of you. I also want to welcome members of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and other distinguished guests this afternoon. We're particularly honored to have Leader Pelosi here, as we are very, very grateful for 25 years of public service. Thank you. She has worked tirelessly on behalf of San Francisco, the Bay Area, and the nation. And I particularly want to call out her work as a champion of issues in human health, including HIV/AIDS, biomedical research and innovation, and so many more of the important areas of science that are so important to all of us here at UCSF. Thank you, Leader Pelosi. This is a great day today for us at UCSF Mission Bay and the entire Mission Bay community. The Transportation Secretary's announcement earlier today of a $10 million transportation infrastructure investment in Mission Bay is yet another vote of confidence in the great city of San Francisco and our dynamic Mission Bay community. The grant, which the DC insiders call a Tiger Grant, will create the transportation infrastructure that is critical for ensuring access to several key programs at UCSF's Mission Bay. And I particularly want to point out to you our new $1.5 billion, 550-bed hospital complex that way. This hospital will provide critical services to women, children, and cancer patients. And construction of this magnificent new center is underway directly south of us, scheduled to open in early 2015. More broadly, the transportation infrastructure will be a key transit source for the full UCSF Mission Bay campus, completing the street additions, highway off-ramps, bike lanes, pedestrian walkways, and transit additions necessary to serve this vibrant and still growing community. As the second largest employer in the city, UCSF's continued success is key to our city's and our nation's economic competitiveness. So thank you so much, Speaker Pelosi, Mayor Lee, and the entire San Francisco family for working hard to continue attracting investment to Mission Bay. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker and director of the successor agency to the San Francisco Redevelopment Agency, Tiffany Bohe.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiffany Bohe. I'm pleased to introduce our speakers for this afternoon. Our next speaker is the director of the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency, Ed Reskin. Ed has served in this capacity for over a year, prioritizing balancing budgets, creating greater efficiencies in our transit system, and investing strategically in our capital projects with a commitment to improving on-time performance and honoring our city's transit-first policy. Ed Reskin.
Thank you, Tiffany, and it's so great to be here. To me, Mission Bay is really a model for the nation of how we should do land use and transportation planning and redevelopment. And I think it's a model for us here in San Francisco, modeling what will happen at Treasure Island and down in Hunters Point. And what that means from a transportation perspective is designing the land use and the transportation to serve people, not just building roads for cars to pass through, but designing and building the public rights of way for people to be in, for the benefit of the people who are going to work here, who are going to live here, who are going to visit here. What this Tiger Grant means to us is one of the final pieces to knit together that puzzle of the transportation infrastructure that's really integrally important with making Mission Bay work the way it was designed to work. putting in the last pieces of pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, putting in the roadway connections to make for efficient but safe auto travel, and maybe most importantly, finishing the final transit connections for Mission Bay, the loop that you see down there, number 4, the loop that's going to enable us to increase the service on the 3rd Street light rail, the extension of the 22 Fillmore right on the other side of this building that's going to serve the beautiful new hospital with a zero-emission electric bus. These are the things that are needed to make Mission Bay work and realize its potential. Just a short anecdote, I was at a meeting a couple blocks from here on Saturday afternoon to talk about parking management. And there aren't that many people who live here yet, but those who do are very concerned with parking. And this was an area that was designed so that people could live here without having to have their own automobile, or certainly multiple automobiles. And as we're trying to start managing parking to achieve that goal, people are saying, you can't ask us to get out of our cars until the transit service is good, until there's safe walkways and bikeways. That's exactly what this grant is going to enable. So I look forward to working with Mohammed Nuru, the Director of Public Works, with Tiffany, with the Mayor's Office, and the rest of the city family to get these dollars in the ground, to get jobs created, and to really help realize the vision for Mission Bay. So I very much want to thank Mayor Lee, and particularly Leader Pelosi, who's been a strong and consistent and persistent advocate for San Francisco to make the vision of Mission Bay real. I also want to acknowledge a couple of my bosses, the chair of the MTA board, Tom Nolan, also Director Jerry Lee. We've got great support in the city family to make stuff like this work, and Mission Bay is definitely a model for this country, and as the Chancellor said, a strong vote of confidence in getting this grant today. So thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Mike Terrio, the Distinguished Secretary Treasurer of the San Francisco Building and Trades Commission and a member of the Iron Workers 377 since 1985. Mike.
You know, we in the construction unions in San Francisco are very grateful for the jobs that this grant is going to bring us, as indeed we are grateful for all the jobs that federal contributions have brought us in what has for us in the construction industry, I've said it before and I'll say it here, genuinely been a depression, not a recession. So for example, we had Doyle Drive, we had the Transbay train box, we had 50 United Nations Plaza. Those have kept us alive at a time when otherwise we'd be in even more dire straits. This grant is not in that scale, but it does a very, very important thing. The Mission Bay district here, as those of you who know San Francisco well understand, is becoming a major economic driver for San Francisco. And it has good transportation bones. It has 280 to the west, it has T3rd to the east, it has the Caltrain station just north of Mission Creek. But those bones need sinew to tie them to the economic body of the complex. And that's what this project does. It provides the linkage between the bones of transportation that already exist and the complex that's developing here. I think it actually serves as an example for what could be going on in the rest of the country. Work is turning around here in San Francisco for us in construction right now. You can see the tower cranes around, but it is not in many parts of the country. And there, we're looking at, an economist from the University of Utah told some of us a few weeks ago, a 5-year arc before the construction industry comes back to its pre-crash highs. And projects like this, projects that have multiple purposes, that put us to work so that it can put other folks to work in the complexes that are served by transportation, are just what we need. And so we are, again, grateful. We think it's a great example for the country, and we'll use it well here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mayor Lee has kept a laser-like focus on economic development and job creation and doing what it takes to make sure that San Francisco keeps investing in infrastructure, which is the backbone of our city. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you, Tiffany. Well, Mike, I just want to make sure you know all of us own this 2-word mantra. And jobs now has been something we've all heard, and I know Leader Pelosi has said it time and time again, whether she's here, whether she's in the air, or whether she lands in D.C., we have to have these jobs for the American people, and that's what's been our joint mantra. I want to just let you know how thankful and happy I am to join our partners at UCSF, Leader Pelosi, a good friend, to let you know we were hanging out here just a few minutes ago. So every time we come together, it's because we're sharing good news about the efforts that we've committed to for years ahead of us and behind us. And so we were commenting on that, you know, we got to take this in context. Less than a decade ago, we were all looking at a rail yard, and people said in San Francisco, we worked with labor. I want to thank members of our redevelopment agency, the commissioners who are here today that are no longer technically commissioners, but they are just as committed today as they were years ago when we had a redevelopment agency, because they worked with the city to make sure that this area was not only going to be paid attention to, they were part of the team that Leader Pelosi and I, in my previous days in public works, were trying to identify with Muhammad about what were the lines of boundaries that we can carve out, what we can do with our infrastructure, how we work with Muni and DPW and all the other agencies to make sure that we built this so that when we did the infrastructure and we invested in this infrastructure, private investment and private money confidence would come. Well, it has arrived in a big, big way. And if you look at what Chancellor has already noted for you, in addition, we have some of the largest world-renowned pharmaceutical companies right here setting up their research. And they're going to make major breakthroughs, whether it's Bayer, Nectar, Fibrogen. They're great partners, having UCSF and its medical research as their anchor and as the hospital goes up. But in addition to that, we've got a public safety building that DPW is leading. We're building there for a fire and police headquarters. We've got the Giants. In all of their success, they're taking another plot of land to also add more value next door to Mission Bay. We've got the very successful housing units that are already filled up. So, as Ed Riskin said earlier, it's not just transportation, it's for whom and for what. And we are building community here with our UC partners, with our private investments. And this is what Secretary LaHood, what Leader Pelosi, what President Obama has said all along. We won't just give these very limited grants just to give grants out. They have to see the evidence of the public-private partnerships to put it in the context of building community. And that's what this $10 million is for. It may sound not as much, but it is absolutely critical to fulfilling that loop, to increasing the capacity of the bicycle and pedestrian lanes. So it really does, at this time, complement everything that we have done thus far. And by the way, without us having done those public-private partnerships, we would not have seen this grant. We learned that from the Tiger One grants when we got the $46 million at Doyle Drive, and Leader Pelosi was up there with me not too long ago when we were complimenting, the destruction of the old non-safe drive to welcome in the Presidio Parkway. And I know that as more competition comes for limited federal monies, we've got to prove, do we have our game together? And our game and our act is about building the whole neighborhood, not just one part or the other, not just getting started. These funds are so competitive right now that every time we win one, we're going to celebrate even better because they're in the context of other things that we have to do in a public-private setting. And I need to thank not only UCSF as a private partner, I want to thank Farallon Capital. I want to thank the Mission Bay Development Group that has been working on and on. I want to thank our redevelopment partners. I want to thank DPW and SFMTA and all of our public agency partners for their working together, because this does really create that collaboration that's absolutely needed. But there's always someone who I will always cherish for a long, long, long time, and certainly for the rest of my life. Leader Pelosi has been there from the start. We named something for her as a compliment for her 25 years, but I'll tell you, That's just Golden Gate Drive. If you went to any other part of the city, whether it's Presidio, Mission Bay, you can easily name another drive there with everybody's support for her because she's been everywhere with us. Mission Bay did not happen overnight. It required sustained, long determination and commitment and action, and who has been there from all the day one and has never, ever lessened her commitment to this, and that's been Leader Pelosi. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Leader, for being with us, not just today, not just for this announcement. I know we're celebrating this announcement today, but I have been there for years in the past and have given us the foundation and the hope to continue getting these things done, and then to have this as another great announcement. So thank you to you for your leadership. Thank you for giving us that special voice. Jobs now, jobs now, jobs now for everybody. Thank you very much.
As the Chancellor and Mr. Mayor have said, for over the course of her 25 years in public service, Leader Pelosi has been instrumental in shaping and transforming San Francisco, people, lives, and our physical environment. The leader has been a tireless champion of infrastructure investment in our city, which not only creates jobs, but in doing so, spurs economic development and housing investment. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce Leader Pelosi.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction, Mayor, for your very generous words. Chancellor, for yours as well. To all of you, congratulations on all that this represents today. Jobs now, jobs now, jobs now. That is our mantra. Jobs now and jobs into the future. Madam Chancellor, your words about what your purpose is here are so inspiring. And it is one of the reasons we are able to attract the resources that we can for this area. Tiger means, just so you know, Tiger means, and it's completely in keeping with what the mayor said, transportation investment generating economic recovery. Is this a perfect fit, a perfect example of what a Tiger grant should be? I'm honored to join the Chancellor and the Mayor, and then the new title for Tiffany, Executive Director of the successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, and the commissioners who are here. Mike, you spoke about jobs and construction and the rest, and it is, we all have worked together, mayors, admirals, generals, you name it, right from the start of my 25 years to say, how can we create jobs and grow our city, whether it's housing, transportation, health, education, whatever the subject. And right off the bat, nature gave us an opportunity with the earthquake, an unwelcomed change, but nonetheless, taking down the decision that the people of San Francisco had to make, and the mayor at the time, Agnos, about whether to take down the freeway or to shore it up. And that decision to take it down, of course, led to so many things south of Market. The military decided they were going to close 3 military bases. And this small, teeny, tiny city, 49 square miles, and 3 bases, which gave us opportunity for the Presidio, Treasure Island, as has been mentioned, and of course, very important to us, your neighbor here at Hunters Point. And so all the mitigation, removal of poisons of the past in some of these places are all construction drives, initiatives. So this today, as the mayor said, this is small, $10 million. But for this $10 million, for every dollar, there are 20 times more requests for the grants. So we were sort of pestering the secretary about what this would mean in transportation investment generating economic recovery, how we met the standard of that title. Of course, since President Obama became president, we passed the Recovery Act. So much has happened here in terms of we start with the Presidio, the Doyle Drive, that's one since it's in construction now, as well as Central Subway, Transbay Terminal, as you mentioned, all of these things before that, 3rd Street Rail, all coming out of initiatives. And I have to prove to my colleagues that there will be economic development that springs from these projects. I also have to prove that dirt will fly, that the community is together in support of the initiatives that we are putting forth. Doesn't mean we have unanimity, but that we will never, I don't think, but that we have consensus in order to go forward. Mike spoke in some very health science metaphors, didn't he, Madam Chancellor, talking about good bones and sinews. and Tiffany talked about the backbone and the rest of that. So it all to bring us back to where we are, UCSF. UCSF, this incredible institution for research, for care, for improving the health of the world, worldwide. So with their excellence, we're able to attract resources to the research. That research, in order to attract the talent, the Nobel laureates and those who would be, need labs, need the infrastructure. So it's all a circle. Infrastructure attracts talent, talent builds additional infrastructure, attracts capital, and what some of the byproducts are some of, as you said, in the private sector, some great companies serving, meeting the aspirations of people in terms of drug development. You just need to look at Bayer and Benehoff and all the Myers Hall or Auditorium. Well, I don't know what it was. Hall, is it Hall? And but the names indicate so much of the success of our area. We also have to prove, as the mayor said, that when there is a public investment, that there will be private investment and nonprofit investment that will follow. So we see the philanthropy, we see the private sector investment, the market opportunities that spring for us. Perfect Tiger grant. So I thank all of you for what you do to make this possible. I want to also acknowledge President Obama and the Recovery Act, from which much of this has sprung. The Tiger grants first appeared in the Recovery Act. We're trying to get them in the appropriations bills, continue to get them in the appropriations bills. We do have one other bill on the table. It's 100 days old since our chairwoman, Barbara Boxer, a great pride of California, passed in the Senate in a bipartisan way a transportation bill that received, on the record, 75 members of the United States Senate, Democrats and Republicans. Senator Boxer, the chairwoman, the ranking Republican on the committee, Senator Inhofe. They couldn't, as I say, you have to be a contortionist to make to have a further spectrum of how far they are on most issues. But together on this transportation bill, because everything that we're talking about here is about jobs now, it's about connecting communities, about transportation, it's about quality of life, quality of air, it's about commerce, product and people to work and to market and back. It's about economic development that takes us, about growth that takes us to a special place. And yes, our projects have to be of national significance, and we can compete with anybody on that score. So I'll accept your compliments, Tiffany, and others on what I have done. All I can do is advocate for what is happening here, and what is happening here in every respect is excellent. Excellence at UCSF, excellence in our ideas about sustainability in our communities, excellence in the contributions of philanthropy focused in a way to produce a result, excellence in our workforce, that we respect our workers, and we have collective bargaining and Davis-Bacon as part of it, recognizing that we want the best possible talent so that we can have the best possible results. So I'm absolutely delighted. This is a very happy day for me. Usually, well, and just earlier this month, $150 million loan to continue the work for Presidio Parkway, formerly known as Doyle Drive, or under another formation, Doyle Drive. So the federal government has recognized, and it's not, I mean, people look at this and they say, you get everything. And I say, well, you know, they're connected. We proved that we were deserving, and now it opens another possibility. So we celebrate this today for what it does, and thank you for spelling out what it does in terms of connecting to other transportation here. But it also, Ed, when you talked about how it connects up to the other things, but it also will lead. It will also lead to other things. So we're hoping to get this transportation bill passed, so more possibilities spring from that. But I know the way you will exploit, and I mean that way in a positive way, all these resources, what it can also attract, what it can lead to. We'll be back celebrating for something else very soon. In closing, let me say that one of my big selling points on all of this is Mayor Lee. He, as you know, in the various jobs that he has held, he has to get a job done. So when he came to the mayor's office, it was with the reputation of his experience at Public Works, his experience as the officer who had to get the job done for the city before he became mayor. And so when he was selected first and then elected after that, it was very clear to anyone who met him when he came to D.C. or when we brought people here that he could get the job done. He knew of what he spoke. He gave a clear-eyed presentation of what could happen. I wish you could see him when the federales, what do we call them? The federal officials come to town, and whether we're looking at Central Subway or whatever the project is, chapter and verse, totally knowledgeable, understanding the possibilities. Understanding the possibilities. That's what our mayor is about. And people know that when he says he's going to do something, the job will get done. Totally operational, very inspirational. We're very proud of you, Mayor Lee. Thank you all very much.